Hey everyone, this is Matt from the Archive of Everything, and we're going to be doing something really quite a bit different. Now, I know I say that a lot, but this is truly something I've never done before, but I think it's incredibly interesting. So, I've been watching some YouTube videos recently. People are using these kind of neural network AIs. You kind of feed it some text, like say you feed it a chapter of Harry Potter. Then it generates continuation of the story wherever you left off based off of what it thinks should be next. So I thought it would be interesting to feed some of my Archive of Everything scripts, some of the history of, different stadiums into this specific neural network and see what it says. I did a couple test runs and it was pretty promising, pretty hilarious, so we're just going to see what it does. So, and in case you didn't know, I do script everything I guess that may be kind of obvious, there's a lot of research that goes into these videos. Um, but it is fun to do some of these unscripted type content. So let's get started. So there's some advanced settings. I didn't really mess around with these. I did hit start at the beginning, so I think that means it analyzes things. Let's see, when checked, your prompt will always be interpreted as starting at the beginning of a document. Okay, that makes sense. So we're also going to have it generate 1,000 characters, I believe, or is that words? So we're just going to paste in the beginning of the latest video that I made. I did a history of Minute Maid Park in honor of the World Series where the Astros lost to the Atlanta Braves. But it was still an interesting video for me nonetheless. So here we have a typical introduction. We have explaining what the stadium is, the parts of the stadium, but unfortunately in this scenario, I just ran out of time and I really need this AI's help writing the history of the Minute Maid Park. So we have all of our settings done. We're going to have it generate 1,000 characters, start at the beginning, so it's reading this like this is the beginning of an article, which it is. And let's get started. Generate the text. Alright, so let me read my this is the first time this is Wow. I'm not. Okay, so I'm not reading. I've read a couple lines of it, so I think it's going to be really promising. But what I'm basically going to do is I'm now going to read this off like it was a script that I wrote for the video. I know it kind of cuts off at the end there. And again, I haven't read this all the way through. I've just read little parts of it just to make sure it would kind of make sense. And then I'll just kind of stitch this together like it's a normal video. And we may do this for a few depending on how long this takes. So let's get started. Okay, so I'll start from the top. Many parties Houston Astros MLB. The stadium opened on March 30th, 2000 as the home of the Astros replacing the previous iconic Astrodome. The stadium was the first attractive stadium in Houston, opening just before the NFL's Houston Texans Saturday Stadium. In 1998, the Astros and the Houston Sports Authority began planning what was then termed the Plan A new baseball park in downtown Houston. In 2000, with money being approved by voters, a demolition project began. The Astros, seeking an iconic and historic venue for the new stadium, were able to negotiate the right to host the MLB All-Star Game in 2004 for the downtown location. Plan B had two locations, a south of downtown and east of the Galleria along the Katy Freeway. However, neither of these two sites had the needed open land for a ballpark, nor would they have been able to win the All-Star Game. Plans were now on hold, with the original plan a new ballpark just south of downtown. Plans for the new ballpark were being developed by Anschutz Entertainment Group, AEG, in Los Angeles, California. AEG and Houston Rockets owner Leslie Alexander. With the All-Star Game now set, work on Plan A was stopped, and other plans were being explored for a new ballpark. That is absolutely hilarious. It starts off actually pretty well. It's talking about they had a plan A for, demolition began, they're seeking a new stadium, and it quickly goes down the drain. That's really fun. Let's do another one of those. So the next bit of text we're going to be using to generate a script is from the recent video on the Bears' new stadium plans. It's just kind of an introduction here that I took talking about the new land they bought in Arlington Heights, and then also a joke thrown in there about Aaron Rodgers now being the apparent owner of Soldier Field. This was just after he said something like, I own you, or I own this stadium at the Packers-Bears game. So we're going to have it again start from the beginning, and let's see what it says. I'm going to try not to look again, but it is so hard not to. Alright, so same thing, I'll just read it from the beginning. I literally haven't read a single word from this, so I'm very excited. It's certainly been a busy time for stadium news. From the Bears buying the Arlington Heights land needed for their new stadium, to the Louisiana governor putting future Superdome renovations on hold due to funding issues, to Aaron Rodgers now being the apparent owner of Soldier Field. The Warriors of the Frozen North may have just decided where they'll play when they move into a new arena. MN.Dot wants to make sure they get the proper stadium approvals before proceeding with the new DC United Stadium construction, says it'll cause major traffic delays. Some Twitter information. As a result, DC United has a lot of work to do, most of it within the past few months. Some planning, some negotiation, some government officials. I'm not entirely sure when the last time the city of DC saw this much planning in 1 week, let alone one morning. A couple of other quick items to hit before I go. With the announcement that Rodgers will now be the owner of Soldier Field, it means that the 33-year-old becomes the majority owner of the team. He reportedly holds an 18% stake in the team, which puts him over 90% of the ownership threshold. At that point, he'd be able to make the major decisions on the team, including breaking the lease with the city. Oh my god, this is incredible. So, the middle part, I think it gets kind of confused by the tweet. It starts talking about DC United, and is that a real tweet? I'm not sure. That seems pretty real. I don't know how it got that, somehow in its neural network. But the part where it takes Aaron Rodgers as a literal owner of Soldier Field and talks about breaking the lease, this is pretty amazing. I mean, for it having no context to any of this, I'm very impressed, and it's so funny. Alright, let's try one more of these. It's too fun. Alright, to kind of mix it up a bit, we're going to start in the middle of one of my other scripts. So this was my script on the first NFL stadium, home of the Dayton Triangles. So since we're not starting from the beginning, this is actually kind of towards the end of the video. I was talking about some kind of fun facts and whatnot. Let's see. Alright, again, so I really haven't read this. The only thing I googled real quick while it was generating was Eddie LeBaron, because I wasn't sure if that was a real player or not, but apparently he was. So let's get started from the top. On December 8th, 1920, the NFL made their first major roster acquisition. That player would later become known as the greatest football player in history of the sport, Eddie LeBaron. Continue scrolling to keep reading. Click the button below to start this article in quick view. For Jim Brown, Cleveland Browns, via maintoday.com. Jim Brown, the former running back for the Cleveland Browns, was the first African-American player in NFL history. He was also the first Heisman Trophy winner in 1956, but the National Football League didn't acknowledge the award as legitimate until 1978. Jim Brown made it his personal mission to integrate professional football. He would do this by playing on the CFL and AAFC. In 1955, Brown played in the first professional football game with a black head coach, Chuck Fairbanks, but because Brown played for the Montreal Alouettes, he was technically still with the CFL when the Browns played the Cleveland Browns in 1954. So I think it's I'm not sure where it's getting any of this information. It's pretty interesting though. But apparently the Cleveland Browns played the Cleveland Browns, so pretty cool. So Jim Brown never played for the CFL, the Montreal Alouettes, or anything like that. I know he was a great running back. He's a Hall of Famer, but I'm not sure. I'm sure it's mixing him up with some other player. I'm not sure who it is. Chuck Fairbanks was not the first African-American head coach in NFL history. He was mainly a college coach. He coached the Patriots for 5 years. Um, yeah, that's really interesting. I'm not sure what wires it's crossing. This may be the most bizarre one. Uh, and apparently, Eddie LeBaron is the greatest player in the history of the NFL. That's really cool. So if you like this sort of video, I can do more like it in the future. It was kind of a neat change of pace for me. Uh, I don't know if we can add this to the archive of everything. It's more of just a fun little thing. But if you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, comment if you want me to do other videos like this. If you want to play with this word generating, story generating website, I'll leave a link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and as always, this is Matt from the Archive of Everything, and I'll see you all real soon.